Good evening, race fans, and welcome to round number 1 of the 2024-25 World of Outlaws Pro Series, powered by iRacing. We start our season at Volusia Speedway Park. 10 races on the schedule. We're going to run some late models. We're going to run some sprint cars. We're going to crown one overall champion when we get to the end of January. Tim Terry and Ashton Smythe here to call all the action for you. And Ashton, this is new to you. We've got a lot of new in this series this year. A new qualifying format, some new faces. This is going to be a fun season.
It 100% is, Tim, and I am happy to be here alongside you in the booth, kicking it off tonight at Volusia Speedway Park. Like you said, with the late models 50-lap feature coming up, and you said it a little bit earlier on, a different qualifying than what we are used to. So can you break it down for the newbie here and for all those new fans watching at home?
Well, you know what, we're going to try, and it's a different qualifying for each race every single week. So we start off with the Pro Qualifying Series, 3 races per week. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Open to all Class A dirt oval licensed drivers. So if you're out there and you're watching us tonight and say, hey, I want to be a part of this next week, you have an option to come and race tomorrow, Wednesday, or Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern to try to lock yourself in. Qualifying points are awarded based on strength of field and finishing position, and the highest 35 in points are locked in. So your best finish out of those 3 is going to go towards your point total, and the top 35 are here this evening. And after each pro race, everything is reset. So the 35 that we have here this evening are going to have to try to requalify to get back in next week when we head to Weedsport.
Yeah, you just said it. Next week we head to Weedsport after kicking it off tonight at Volusia Speedway Park with the late models. Next week we go to Weedsport Speedway with the sprint cars, followed by Williams Grove Speedway back in the late models, then Lincoln Speedway with the sprint cars, followed by Federated Auto Parts Raceway at I-55 in the late models, and one last race before we take a couple weeks off at Knoxville Raceway with the sprint cars. And then we have a date to be announced on January 6th for the sprint cars, followed by the late models on January 13th at Fairbury American Legion Speedway, Eldora Speedway with the sprint cars, and wrap up the season with the dirt track at Charlotte in the late models, Tim.
That's a great schedule. Obviously 2 weeks in between there for the holidays as well. Format hasn't really changed since the last time we left you. We are going to still run some heat races. We're going to run some LCSs. The difference is where we are right now. The top 8 will lock in directly from single car qualifying. They are completing their qualifying session right now, just a couple moments away from completing that. 3 heat races, 8 laps each, top 3 advance, 2 LCSs, 12 laps, top 2. We remind you there are no cautions in the heats and the last chance showdowns. Feature race, 50 green flag laps, no caution laps will count in those events. So we mentioned that the top 8 will work their way in, and the fastest driver in qualifying, he's been here before. He's had a couple of rough races, at least last season when we tried this series, Ashton. It's Nathan Waddell in the 5 going to start on the pole when we do go racing, or at least quick time before any inverts may or may not happen.
Yeah, like you said, invert looming for that driver, but great job for Waddle. Like you said, he had a strong showing last year. There we see the top 10 in qualifying. And Tim, let's look at the top 6 there, 7. Wow, everyone in the top 10 within 1/10 of each other. Just 7 thousandths off of the pole for Robbie Buchanan Jr.
Logan Rumsey, Dylan Yeager, J.D. Brown, Tanner Tomasi, drivers that we're used to seeing on a Monday night. Then you got a Dustin Price, who's new. Obviously, Kendall Tucker's been around the block a couple of times in this series. And Trevin Lane and Stephen Gaines on the outside looking in, but they will be in these heat races. So top 8 locked directly into the show for later on for 50 laps of feature racing action. But heat race number 1, Ashton is with us. Who do we got?
Trevor Lane will start from the pole position. Talon Willis on the outside. James Eden and Coy Vlies in row 2. Colton Zimmer and Chase Barbara make up row 3. Row 4 will be Matthew Selby and Tucker Elkins, and Joey Lindgren will round out the field starting in 9th from row 5.
You know what? It's funny. Joey Lindgren starts the back of this field. We've seen in this series where you have sprint car guys and they run their 10 races. The late models, they have guys that run their 10 races, and you see a couple that go back and forth. Joey Lindgren's a sprint car guy. We saw him last year in the sprint car series. He's now racing a late model because he wants to win this championship. Weather is 76 degrees, a little bit of a wind, and the track temp at 75, and this place is going to change. They just had their qualifying session, Ashton. They ran 3 minutes or so of warm-up. So this place is going to change. We'll see if Tyler decides to do a rework prior to the feature later on. But place looks pretty good so far. The qualifying races were great leading into this. I think we're in for a great show tonight.
We definitely are. And you just talked about Joey Lindgren. He picked up a podium finish in his qualifier race on Tuesday, so he has the experience here at Volusia Speedway Park, so hopefully that plays to his favor. But man, Tim, he has got a lot of ground to make up as only the top 3 advance from heat race number 1 into the feature. 8 laps on the docket for the first heat race. We see the cars there getting ready, double file to take the green in just a couple moments.
A new series, which means a new website for the series, iRacing.com/WOO/pro/series. All the information, schedule, qualifying format, all that fun stuff. Learn how you can be a part of this series at that website. As we get ready to go racing, this should be the 1 to green as the 27 of Trevin Lane going to lead this field to green, the 10 on the outside of Talon Willis. Willis has been in this series before as well. And then you look back to row number 2 and you see that iconic purple 52 of James Edens. Ashton is one of those drivers that has done both sprint cars, late models, has wins in both and does fairly well. If you look for a championship contender early, by the way, we'll talk about Evan C. and Aiden Forster not being here and Ryan Avila not being here and all those champions that we had last year not being here. James Edens, I think, is going to be one to watch when you look at the full slate of 10 races. But they've got to qualify every week. And speaking of qualifying, let's throw the green flag on this one. As Trevin Lane going to lead them to green, we're underway in heat race number 1.
Trevin Lane with a great initial start there and chooses the high side, and the 10 of Talon Willis making the outside work, and the 52 shoots to the back. The transfer battle is heating up.
We are taking the top 3 and moving them in. You can follow along on the scoring ticker. 20 of Zimmer down to the inside. Colton Zimmer was a rookie last year in the late models, and now he's being thrown to the wolves in his sophomore season. 4 and almost 5 wide off of turn number 4.
Down into the front stretch. The 27 still opting for the inside as the 10 of Willis pulls ahead, making that high side of the racetrack work. The 17 comfortably settled into third and still side by side behind them.
Great racing in heat race number 1. Top 3 will go directly into the feature. Everybody else will work into a last chance showdown. 23 of Chase Barber on your screen. There's the 20 of Colton Zimmer in behind, and Matthew Selby in the 46. The green and white 46 with James Edens down to the bottom line. Hard to believe we're already talking about a guy like James Edens potentially missing the show, having to go to a last chance showdown, but he is mired in traffic behind this battle.
Willis lames Barbara in the feature. As of right now, the 23 gets a little out of the groove there. We are on board with Matthew Selby in the 46 right now, who currently rides in the 6th position. Oh, into the back end of the 20, and around goes the 20. Green flag stays out.
Looks like Colton quasi saved it back there, but there are no cautions in these heat races, so we will see him in a last chance showdown as the field will come by this time, and Talon Willis will see the white flag. A final lap in heat race number 1. Willis and Lane are currently your top 2. Barbara has a little bit of an advantage back to the rest of the field. They're going to try to hold it through 3 and 4. Checkered flag for car number 10. Talon Willis picks up heat race number 1, and provisionally will start position number 9 as the rest of the field works through. You see Lane in the 27 and the 23 of Chase Barbara in those 3 transfer spots. Flies, Edens, Selby, Elkins, Lindgren picks up 1 spot and will move to 8th, and Colton Zimmer will finish in position number 9. There are already some big names lining up for last chance showdowns, and we've already completed 1 of the 3 heat races here this evening.
Lots of drama heating up already between all of these drivers, between coming out of the qualifying races and all of the amount of talent we had in those into heat race number 1. Wow, Tim, what a great way to start the evening. with such an exciting heat race.
And I believe we're going to head down to the virtual victory lane and catch up with our heat race winner, heat race number 1 on the evening, going to the driver of the number 10 of Talon Willis. We'll start in 9th, provisionally on the grid when we go racing for 50 laps later on in round number 1 of the World of Outlaws Pro Series powered by iRacing. As the drivers get ready for heat race number 2, Ashton, you've caught up with our heat race winner.
Yeah, Talon Willis, great way to start the evening. How do you carry this momentum into the rest of the 9th, knowing you're starting 9th in the feature?
Yeah, it's really good whenever you can always start up front. I feel like position matters a lot here at this track because sometimes it can kind of get racy there for a little bit, but definitely position matters. So just glad to get the heat win. Set was really good thanks to Majula Speed Shop, Blake, Evan, all them guys, and just glad to be here.
Talon Willis picks up the heat race number 1 win with the late models at Volusia tonight. Tim, he finished 8th last year, but we got another heat race getting ready to roll.
Heat race number 2 set to come at us, and the field already gridding. Ashton, who's in this one?
Steven Gaines in the 07. In the money spot with Blake Majulis on his outside. James Starry, Ethan Bill, row number 2. Brandon Barnhart and Jesse Enterkin, row 3. And row 4 will be made up of Christopher Joy and Tyler Orr. Some more big names in heat race number 2.
Yeah, Blake Majulis on the outside of row number 1 is going to be one to watch as the field will get ready to roll here momentarily. And we will contest heat race number 2. We talked about all the changes that are happening this season, qualifying format. It also comes with a little bit of change when it comes to the championship standings as well. These drivers do get qualifying points, so your top 8, as you see them on the screen, have already amassed some points. Heat races, everybody's going to get some heat race points this year, 15 to win, 14, 13 on back. Your main race also changes as well. There's a 5-point gap in between first and second, then 3 all the way back. So there's some changes to be made, and Ashton, it makes these guys get up on the wheel every single lap they're on the racetrack, whether it is single car qualifying or whether it's the main event, or if you find yourself in a heat race, you got to get up on the wheel there.
Yeah, this new format has no room for error for any of these drivers. Unfortunately, a bad night for one of them will most likely result in them having to load up and call it an early one. So hopefully we don't see any of that happening. Lots of stars in this one as they get some caution laps around the track, scrub their tires, and get ready for the green flag.
Gaines had a top 5 effort, or was knocking on the door of a top 5 effort in his qualifying race earlier this week, or last week as it may be. So keep your eye on the 07. Blake Majulis obviously needs absolutely no introduction when it comes to this World of Outlaws series, whether it's in the sprint cars or whether it's in the late models. He is going to be one to watch. Former champion on the outside as we go green flag racing. We're underway in heat race number 2, and the 74 of James Starry already to the inside. One of the last drivers, Ashton, to get in on points is that yellow and black number 741.
Starting to get single file here. Oh, a little squirrely in the back, and the 14's going to get loose on the high side. 3 wide down the front stretch, and 1 and 2 are still neck and neck.
This is a battle to transfer. The 3 currently has it, but he's 4 wide, stuck in the middle as Ethan Bill, or continues to have that spot. Ethan Bill in that 14 car trying to pick up position number 3, and slider from Enterkin in the 1, going to try to pick up a couple of spots but won't get there. The 74 of Starry on the back bumper. Oh, by the way, new leader Blake Majulis.
Blake Majulis takes the lead, putting a little bit of a gap between him and Steven Gaines. And Tyler Orr is still sitting in that transfer position, but he has some guys coming for it. The 14 right behind him, and the 74 wants in that battle as well.
Yeah, the 74, one of those last drivers to get in, Ashton. Last week, he was 37th in points. A couple of drivers weren't able to make it this evening, so he got in on that 37th point effort. So I guess if you're looking at it, you got really nothing to lose and everything to gain right now, but you're not in a transfer position. You got to get up on the wheel if you're in that yellow 741.
100% opting for the high side for the 74. Not exactly working for him as the 14 is clicking closer and closer to that back bumper of Tyler Orr. We'll see if he has time to make that move with only 2 laps to go.
This is the battle to transfer. Top 2 are gone. Orr in the 3. Tyler Orr trying to hold on, but he's got Ethan Bill in behind him and the rest of the field. White flag flies from Barney. Final lap in this heat race. Down to the inside goes Bill in the 14. Back up to the outside. Little bit of a hip check from the 3. Majulis is out in front, but who's it going to be taking third? Orr is sideways coming through the corner, and he is going to leave the mess in behind him and pick up the final transfer position. That was exciting at the back, Ashton.
That was exciting all the way around. Tim, I said it earlier on, but we've seen some incredible heat racing action, so we're looking forward to the feature. And here is the results from heat race number 2. Blake Majulis picks up the win. Steven Gaines and Tyler Orr also transfer in. Jesse Entrican, Brandon Barnhart, Christopher Joy, James Starr, and Ethan Bill into LCQs.
Yeah, the LCSs are already stacking up with a lot of talent, and especially with everything that we saw there, that it was so close in between third on back. There's going to be some disappointed drivers, I feel like, at the end of those 12-lap last chance showdowns. But a driver that we have seen here many, many times before has picked up multiple wins in both series, whether it's in a late model or a sprint car, is heat race number 2 winner Blake Majulis. Ashton, you caught up with him.
Blake Majulis, you have the experience here. You picked up a championship with the late models before. You picked up a win in the qualifier. What about this track just makes it, your style of track?
Yeah, I think it gets technical in the race, and I'm basically just looking forward to the race here and hopefully have a good run up to the front. Wish we could have qualified a little better, but it is what it is, and hopefully just start the season off with a good run.
Blake Majulis picks up heat race 2 win. Tim, we're looking forward to another great heat race. One more on the docket.
Yeah, one of those drivers that is good in both. He's going to be one to watch for the championship. Speaking of Ashton, here's heat 3.
Starting from the pole position, the 11 car of Ethan Johnson, and to his outside, Diesel Jones in the 46. Row 2 is made up of Caleb Durgan and Brady Thompson. To the inside of row 3 is Loic Bernier and Damian Kiefer. Row number 4 has the 19 car of Mike Augustine to the inside with Braden Carter in the 5 on his outside.
So the field will get ready to roll for heat race number 3 momentarily. And final heat race of the evening before we go to last chance showdowns. You look at this field, Loic Bernier has been in a Pro Series before. The 74 will start at the back of the pack. As you see what we have left, we're halfway through the program before we get to that 50-lap feature later on. Damian Kiefer, former Pro Division driver. Mike Augustine was here last year with us. Mike was kind of hot and cold. When Mike was good, Mike Augustine was really good. When he wasn't, it's nothing to write home about. And not to bring up the past, Ashton, but the 19 of Augustine failed to qualify for Volusia last season in the late models.
He's hoping to have a better start. And we look at the front 3 alone, the ones currently making their way into the feature. They're all new with us. So lots of mix of experience versus rookies. And we will see who comes out on top of heat race number 3.
Field will work around. You're starting to see the racetrack change just a little bit as we go through. Still got 2 12-lap last chance showdowns following this before we go racing in the feature. A little bit of a warm-up in between there as well. So this racetrack going to change once again as the 11 of Ethan Johnson gets ready to see the green flag the next time by, with the 46 on the outside as the field works down the back straightaway, getting ready to come to the green flag in the 3rd and final heat race for round number 1 of the World of Outlaws Pro Series, powered by iRacing. And the control car is car number 11 of Ethan Johnson. He's on the hammer. Green flag flies. We are underway for heat race number 3.
Little bobble out of the 26 of Diesel Jones right on that initial start, and a lot of guys opting for the high side. The 46 of Diesel Jones still in that second spot as the 17 peaks to his inside, and behind him follows the rest of the field.
Side by side for position number 2, Durgan on the inside. Jones is going to lose that spot for the time being. Going to get the run into turn number 2 and take a look down to the bottom side as they battle wheel to wheel for position number 2 in and behind. They're still trying to figure out that inside line, Ashton. There's 4 cars there, and I think they can only fit 3.
Yeah, but Ethan Johnson has it figured out, that's for sure. And Brady Thompson also has found something on the inside there. Quite a battle for the third position as the 46 of Diesel Jones starts to fall back a little bit, and the front three are single file, Tim.
Yeah, Ethan Johnson continues to lead in car number 11, top 3, top 4, single file back to the 46 of Diesel Jones, and you look back from the third place driver of Thompson.
Thompson in a tough position right now. You see Diesel Jones peeking to his inside just a little bit halfway through heat race number 3. See if they have enough time to make something happen. Johnson, Durgan, and Thompson are your top 3.
And trying to get that transfer position is that blue number 46 as Jones tries to get one more. Behind them, they're getting anxious for those positions. It's outside of a transfer position, but they are 3 wide trying to make something happen back there around Loic Bernier in the 74.
Top 5 have split off from the rest of the field as the 17 of Durgan has caught the back bumper of Ethan Johnson on the last lap. 17 peeks to the inside. Is he going to be able to make something happen and pick up the win into turns 3 and 4? Loses it a little bit, and your heat race number 3 winner, Ethan Johnson.
Johnson picks up the heat race win. Caleb Durgan and Brady Thompson are your top 3 as they run. They will go into the feature. Diesel Jones, Mike Augustine, Damian Kiefer, Loic Bernier, and Braden Carter will go into one of 2 last chance showdowns. And you see Augustine, you see Kiefer, you see Bernier, you've seen drivers that have been involved in the Pro Series before, gonna stack themselves in to a last chance showdown for trying to qualify for round number 1, the 50 lap feature coming up momentarily. We've got a couple of last chance showdowns to come, but before we do, let's talk to heat race number 3 winner. Ashton, you've caught up with Ethan Johnson.
Ethan Johnson, so dominant. You really had it figured out on the bottom part of that racetrack. Let's talk about the feature. 50 laps. Do you think you'll be a front runner up there? You got a good amount of spots to make up. How are you feeling?
Yeah, we're feeling decent. We're just hoping to go forward in the feature. I think we have something good for the feature, so we'll just try to be there as a driver and hopefully be there at the end.
Bakersfield, California native Ethan Johnson picks up heat race number 3 win.
3 heat races in the books. We're going to come back to 2 last chance showdowns to set the field for round number 1, and we'll be right back.
Outlaws Dirt Racing 24 is available now.
Welcome back to Volusia Speedway Park and round number 1 of the World of Outlaws Pro Series, powered by iRacing. 3 heat races in the books, which means we're going last chance showdowns. 1 of 2 on the racetrack. Ashton, who's in this one?
Corey Vlies will start from the pole position onto his outside. Diesel Jones in the 46. Brandon Barnhart in the 101 will roll out from the inside of row 2 with Matthew Selby on his outside. Damian Kiefer will start from the inside of row 3. James Starry on the outside. Row number 4 will be comprised of Joey Lindgren and Braden Carter. Tim, we've talked about it before. Joey Lindgren, someone who is so strong in these qualifier races. It's his last chance to make it into feature racing action tonight. He's got a lot of ground to make up.
Joey is going to be one of those guys, when we go to Weed Sport next week, he's going to be strong. He's going to be a top 10 competitor as long as he can make his way in through this new qualifying format. We've gone through heat races, we've gone through qualifying, we've got 2 last chance showdowns to bring you next, and then we will go feature racing for 50 green flag laps. Same song, different dance, 4 more laps, no cautions in these, so you have to be on your game. You cannot afford any misstep, or you're going to be watching it from the house and try to figure out how you have to qualify for next week at Weed Sport in the sprint car. So quick turnaround for some of these drivers as well, and we mentioned it that the first qualifying race happens tomorrow for Weed Sport. So if you're looking to get involved in this series, maybe after you're done, grab that sprint car, get some laps in at Weed Sport, and we could see you here next week on the iRacing Esports Network or on Dirt Vision. Lights out. Next time by, we're going racing. Ashton, we're taking the top 2, and we've got a lot of heavy hitters starting at the back.
Yes, we do, but it's going to be the 17 who controls this initial start. Super important to get a good start, and he is ready. The 26 of Diesel Jones on the outside. They can feel the pressure coming into this as they lead behind the pace truck with the lights out.
12 laps to decide, 2 more spots in the feature event. Your control car is the white and blue number 17 of Coy Vlies. They come out of corner number 4 and they're on the hammer. Green flag flies, we're underway. Jones trying to get into line to second, but here comes the 101. Barnhart looking to the inside. Selby on the upside, going to take position number 3, and the 101's going backwards.
Yes, it is, as they take it 3 wide in the back half of the pack, but that's not going to be good enough as the only top 2, and Coy Vlies looks so strong out front, running sort of the middle groove of this racetrack, opts for the top now. Matthew Selby has caught the back bumper of Diesel Jones as he peeks to the inside.
Little contact, up the hill goes the 46, and Jones does in the wall, and that is going to probably do it for his last chance showdown effort. And here comes the 741 of Starry to the bottom side, will slide up the racetrack, allows Selby back to the bottom side. And where did Joey Lindgren come from? From the back of the field, and as these two get racy in front of him, Lindgren might be in the catbird seat.
Barnhart back in this battle as well, and the 74 and 46 get into it just a little bit. Lindgren waiting for the opportunity to make that move. 4 laps into this race. Oh, the 4 and the 46 high, and there goes Lindgren.
Little contact with Starry and Selby allows Lindgren to get to second place, and now they're chasing down the 1 for the final transfer position. Barnhart trying to get back into the fray and pick up a couple of spots, but needs to get up here. You ride on board with Brandon Barnhart looking up at what could be a transfer. Now he's looking in the wall. That ain't good.
That is not good, but what is good is Coy Vlies right now has a rocket ship out on this racetrack, pulled quite the gap between him and the rest of the field. Joey Lindgren currently sits in second in that battle for the transfer position you see on your screen right now. James Starry and Matthew Selby in that fight still, Tim.
And this is the final transfer position that is on the line. Ashton, as you mentioned, Vlies is gone in front of the field. Matthew Selby, the driver from Louisville, Kentucky, looking at the 741 of Starry ahead of him, and the 1 of Joey Lindgren. Lindgren, the sprint car guy, trying to hold on to the final transfer spot.
Riding right behind 74 and the 1. 5 laps left in this last chance showdown. We take the top 2. Last opportunities for these drivers to start their season off on a good note, as Lindgren has put a little bit of the gap between him and the 74.
Trying to run away with it in the final few laps of this LCS. Vlies is gone. Coy has had a great run, has let these guys battle behind him, and now Lindgren beginning to inch away just a little bit. in the late laps of Last Chance Showdown number 1. Selby's going to try to take a look at the 741 for position number 3. Makes that slide jump down to the bottom side. Not going to be able to make it stick the 741. Picks up that spot on the outside. Ashton, we're coming to 1 to go.
1 lap left, and Coy Blige is in the spot you want to be right now. 46 still putting pressure on the 74, but do they have enough as we take the final lap of LCS number 1? 74 goes high to 46, starting to fall back a little bit, and Coy Blige picks up the LCQ number 1 win. And Joey Lindgren, we talked about him earlier, Tim, from the back row number 4 into a transfer position.
Majula C Speed Shop, top 2 with Flies and Lindgren. They will transfer. Starry, Selby, Carter, Barnhart, Damian Kiefer, and Diesel Jones will have to find their way in through the qualifying series to get back to Weed Sport next week. I think Kiefer's probably the biggest surprise for me on that screen. He's going to have to dig deep next week when we go racing again. And Ashton, I know you're one that loves a good sale. iRacing Black Friday already on.
Yes, I always love me a good sale. And 50% off for all new memberships with iRacing, and 25% off for early renewals and reactivations for iRacing now through December 2nd. So go to iRacing.com/Black Friday and take part in the biggest iRacing sale of the year. Tim, you really can't ask for anything else. This is the best gift for anyone around the holidays.
Save yourself some money on memberships and get yourself some content, because there is some great content up the road. You can check it all out at iRacing.com. Whether you want to go dirt racing, you want to go pavement racing, you want to go dirt road, you want to do anything when it comes to motorsports, iRacing is the place to be as we get ready to see one more Last Chance Showdown. And look at that front row.
Yeah, 2 stunners sitting on the front row. Jesse Enterinkin on the inside to his outside, 52 of James Edens. Row number 2 will be made up of Mike Augustine and Christopher Joy. To the inside of row 3 is Tucker Elkins with Loic Bernier on his outside. And row number 4, Ethan Bill and Colton Zimmer, Tim.
Yeah, Zimmer's going to have to come from the back of the field after being kind of ousted from that transfer position in his heat race. One more LCS to go, and then we will be going racing for 50 green flag laps. Got to find the final 2 transferees to get into that feature. But you look at this field. James Edens, obviously, top of the board on the outside of row number 1. He's going to have to find his way in. He's been involved in every single pro season that we've had on the World of Outlaws side of things for iRacing. Going to want to get into this first feature in this new format, in this new series, in that purple number 52. Mike Augustine, Loic Bernier, Colton Zimmer. You got 4 drivers that have some pro experience within the World of Outlaws system that we've had the last couple of seasons, Ashton. There's only 2 transfer spots, so they're going to have to get up on the wheel. And Enterkin in the number 1, going to be hard to beat as well. Moved through the field in his heat race, just fell 1 spot short.
Yeah, we look a little bit farther back in the field, though. Loic Bernier picked up a top 10 at Volusia last year in a late model. Obviously not off to a good start, and we saw it in the Last Chance Showdown. Anything can happen. We saw guys come all the way from the back and make such a hard charge. So 12 laps is a long distance, and anything can happen, Tim.
And Loic Bernier is one of those drivers that does have experience in both pro divisions that we previously had with the sprint cars and the late models in their separate series. Trying to crack that nut and get into the top 2, though, is going to be difficult. He starts from position number 6 in that white number 74, the driver from Victoriaville, Quebec, Canada, in the outside of row number 3. Enterkin going to lead this field to green in car number 1. On the outside, James Edens in the 52. James fell back early in his heat race. We'll see what he can do in this final Last Chance Showdown. Last chance to get into the feature for round number 1. Green flag flies. We're underway.
Enterkin off to a strong start and pulls ahead, but Edens is going to follow that train right behind him. Everyone looking so strong on the top, but the 19 of Augustine makes that pass on the bottom, throws the slider, makes it stick, and takes away that transfer spot from Edens.
James Eden's to the bottom side, looking to pick up the transfer position, and now to the bottom side with everybody else kind of looking into that outside line. Joy in the 32, trying to make something happen from the 4th place position. It might be 3rd. James Eden's going backwards early in this last chance showdown. It's led by Enterkin in the 1 and Mike Augustine in car number 19.
Top 2 are the ones that transfer in, and Christopher Joy once in that battle as he stays right there up on the back bumper of Mike Augustine. We're riding along with the 52 of James Edens right now, and you see how tight that battle between the top 3 is. Edens starting to fall back just a little bit. 4 laps completed in LCS number 2.
Love the VR headset as he works from position number 4 and looking back to Loic Bernier and that white number 74, Colton Zimmer just in behind in the black number 20 as they race hard for these positions. They've got to go, but there's really no place to go unless something happens in this battle right here as Enterkin continues to lead. Augustine, though, under fire from Christopher Joy. Joy down to the bottom. Enterkin continues to hold the lead, but Mike Augustine trying to find a way around while playing a little bit of defense.
Christopher Joy back into that groove with Enterkin, and Augustine trying to make something work, but he's not able to find anything on that racing surface that he is happy with, and we see him there. He is pushing hard. The 19 of Augustine starting to pull away just a little bit, but he is catching our leader, Jesse Enterkin.
The Indiana driver was 3rd in Thursday's top split, the qualifier, to try to get into this one, so he knows a thing or two about running up near the front of the field, but he needs one more spot. He's got 4 laps to get there. Might have just kissed the wall off of turn number 4 that last time. Augustine trying to make something happen for the lead in front of Joy in the 32, but Enterkin has led this one since we dropped the green flag. He's got 3 laps to hold on to it this time.
No room for error for any of these drivers. Top 3 still bumper to bumper as they slide through the corner. 32 still looking for something. 3 laps left, and the 19 is catching Enterkin, your leader.
Can he make the way past, though? And do you want to, or do you play that little bit of defense to keep Joy in behind? Joy gets that run in the middle of 1 and 2, but can't do anything with it. They'll come by this time and see the white flag as Enterkin continues to lead. Augustine is there, taking that little peek to the bottom side. What does he do here down into turn number 1? Goes to the bottom side, trying to make it happen. Up the hill, Enterkin's there. The 19 of Mike Augustine to the bottom side. They'll go side by side. Augustine will slide it through 3 and 4. Enterkin back to the bottom. Joy can't get there. Checkered flag. Last lap pass for Mike Augustine. He picks up the final last chance showdown of the evening and will send him into the feature, and tough break for Christopher Joy. He's on the outside looking in by 1 spot. Jesse Enterkin will be your 2nd place driver and will make his way into the show. I think the big story from round number 1, besides maybe Evan C. and Ryan Avila and Aiden Forster not making the show here tonight, is James Eden's missing the feature in car number 52. He'll be in 4th with Bernier, Zimmer, Elkins, and Bill, your field. Qualifying's done. Last chance showdowns are done. Heat races are done. We got 50 laps. It's coming up next.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing 24 is available now.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Volusia and Ashton. We get ready to go racing here, but World of Outlaws Dirt Racing available now, 2024, and I know you've had an opportunity to pick up the game and do a little bit of action. How are you at the game?
You know, Tim, I'm not going to lie. I'm not the greatest race car driver to ever exist. That's why I sit here and talk about race cars with you. But man, is this game fun. And there's so many different options. 11 different disciplines of racing, including 2 new ones with dirt micro sprint cars and 410 wingless sprint cars, and all the ones from the past 2 years, and 49 different tracks to tackle. There's some new ones this year. Kern, Millbridge Speedway, which I had the opportunity to go to just last year. You also get to pick from all the 2024 drivers, from sprint cars, late models, dirt car, Extreme Outlaw Midget Series, and more. There's improved graphics. You have tear-offs with the helmets. It is super, super realistic. And they also just released some new DLC with the Gold Edition, which features Oswego Speedway and Houston Speedway.
And an in-depth career mode, obviously one of the highlights, and something for you, a new driving school from the World of Outlaws legend Donnie Schatz to help you through the game as well. But let's go back racing here this evening. Volusia Speedway Park, it's round number 1. What do we expect out of this racetrack?
Yeah, Volusia is one that is always on the top of everyone's bucket list in DeLoyne Springs, Florida. It's a half-mile track that opened back in 1968. They have 54 different events at the facility in 2024, and their season is still going on. It's also home of the Dirt Car Sunshine Nationals, and the late model feature winner last year, Tim, was Evan C.
Yeah, and we documented a little bit throughout the evening. Evan C. missed the mark by probably one position when it comes to that final qualifier that we had on Thursday night, but that's how stacked this season is and stacked how this qualifying is. 418 drivers attempted to run this evening. Ashton, we got the best 35 that are here, and we have the best 21 out of those 35 getting ready to go for 50 green flag laps. And we've seen a couple of incidents this evening. I think the one with Colton Zimmer was probably the biggest. Diesel Jones, we had one in the last chance showdown as well. But knock on wood, we haven't seen a lot of action that would have caused caution flags. But if we do see them, the caution laps will not count in the feature.
50 laps is a long time, Tim. And especially at Volusia Speedway Park, anything can happen. We've seen lots of guys throw sliders and not necessarily be able to get them to stick. So we'll see how that plays out in the feature. And like you said, 21 drivers will start this feature event, and all 21 drivers are wanting to start their 2024 season with a good note. So let's take a look at the starting grid for the feature. Rolling off from the pole position, Kendall Tucker in the 00, who is outside for NLRA Racing. Dustin Price in the 33. Tanner Tomasai will roll off from the inside of row 2. JD Brown on the outside. Row 3 is made of Dylan Yeager and Logan Rumsey. Row 4, Robbie Buchanan Jr. and Nathan Waddle. Now keep in mind those top 8 all locked in from qualifying. And winner of heat race number 1 will roll off on the inside of row 5. That is Talon Willis with Blake Majulski on his outside. Ethan Johnson on the inside of row 6 and Trevor Lane on the outside of row 6. Row 7 has Stephen Gaines and Caleb Durgan, Chase Barbara and Tyler Orr making up row number 8. Row 9 is Brady Thompson and Coy Vlies. And rounding out the field, the last 3 starters, we just saw them racing the LCSs. Mike Augustine on the inside of row number 10 in the 19 car with Joey Lindgren on the outside. And rounding out the field, Jesse Enterkin in the 1.
You take a look at the 09 as we get ready to go racing. You see the 14 at JD Brown to the outside. That's Tanner Tomasi in the 09. Kendall Tucker, always one that we're going to have to watch when we either discipline that we do throughout this season, whether it's late models or sprint cars. And interested to see what Nathan Waddell can do as he starts in position number 8. If you want to follow this series with stats, standings, schedule, how you can get involved in this series, head to iRacing.com/WOO-Pro-Series for all the information on what we are going through. The next 12 weeks, 10 of them will be racing, get a couple of weeks off for the holidays. This is going to be a fun series to try to work through and see who is able to make all 10 shows through the qualifying format, and B, who comes out on top. Now, Farmer Tyler did not get on the tractor. We did not get a rework. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But Ashton, we saw a decent racetrack. Weather's changed a little bit, couple of degrees hotter, track temps dropped a little bit. We saw some good racing, so they have not done the rework that they usually do. So we'll see what it brings us for 50 laps.
Yeah, we see the weather there in beautiful Florida, 77 degrees. The wind died down just a little bit than it was earlier on, 6 miles per hour, back up to 7. 70-degree track temp, and sun's out just a little bit, but there's also some clouds in the sky, so that may play a factor in how this racing surface reacts as well.
And those top 8 have not been on the racing surface since they did their qualifying lap, and we've got some heavy hitters here. You see Logan Rumsey on the outside of row 3 in the black number 41. We're used to seeing a little more blue on that race car, but back in black is Logan Rumsey, a multi-time winner in both disciplines when it comes to late models and sprint cars. This is going to be a show, but keep your eye on these top 8. First time we've seen them all night long besides single car qualifying. Your control car is the 00 of Kendall Tucker, and Tucker is bringing this field to green, and we're underway for round number 1 at Volusia Speedway Park, and Kendall Tucker is out to a big lead. JD Brown's on the extreme outside. They're almost 3 wide for third.
Yeah, Kendall Tucker was on the hammer and ready for that initial start, and it's paying off as he's pulling away from the rest of the field. Second is Tomasi, and the 14 of Brown really working that high side and making it work as he's starting to pull ahead of Yeager.
Tanner Tomasi was a rookie last season in the late models, Ashton, and started off the season with a top 5 effort here at Volusia, but then reality kind of set in, and he missed a couple of shows and rebounded at the end of the season. Still finished in the top 15 in that series. As you ride on board with Logan Rumsey, he's got the lean going on again, currently in position number 4, trying to get into that top 3, get a good run out of this one, albeit early. He's on the outside, and he's got Tanner to the bottom side as JD Brown's going for the lead in the 14.
Yeah, battle for the lead is heating up. Kendall Tucker still holds it right now, but JD Brown closing that gap, just a 1/10.5 separate those front 2 running drivers. And wow, we see the high side really coming in. The 41 of Rumsey making it work. Just saw the lean there, and he is past second place and now sets his sights on Kendall Tucker.
Watched a few of the qualifying races earlier last week, Ashton, and the big thing is that outside line really came into play about 15, 20 laps in, and depending who you were, Evan C. was on the outside for most of those qualifying races. Logan Rumsey, we know he likes it on the outside, and he'll go to the top side of Kendall Tucker. Battle for the lead on lap number 7, and it's going to be the Alpha Industries number 41 picking up the advantage as Logan Rumsey goes to the top.
Rumsey, Tucker, Brown, Tomasi, and Waddle, your current top 5. As here comes the 09 on the inside of Tomasi, trying to make something work down on the bottom. He starts to fall back. JD Brown pulling ahead. Tomasi really starting to fall back. If I were him, he needs to get to the top, Tim.
You see the black 127 on your screen. That is Blake Majulis. Majulis is leading the field of drivers that had to qualify through a heat race. He's got Talon Willis right there in the 10 as they continue to work on the 09 of Tomasi, who, as you mentioned, trying to find a place to race. And the middle 3, I don't think is the place to go, as Majulis into the fence in turn number 1.
127 up in the fluff, but able to save it. Still working on trying to stay in that top 10 as a lot of those back running guys are closing in. The 48 looking for his place, still side by side with 27. And the 09 of Tomasi trying to find something on the bottom, Tim. I think he's found it.
Dylan Yeager right back as well in the 48 on the bottom side. The white and black with a little bit of purple on that race car, trying to pick up a couple of positions as you ride on board with Dustin Price right in behind Dylan Yeager. Now goes to the outside, and we're seeing that dynamic racetrack as there goes one more to the bottom side. Is that Augustine from the back of the field?
If there's anything Volusia is known for, has character, it has dynamic, something that makes it a bucket list for all of these drivers, and it is showing that tonight. It is really racy. Dustin Price, we're looking on the back side of his race car right now. The whole field 2x2. We look back again to the front half as the top 10 starts to break away from the rest of the field.
Rumsey continues to lead with Tucker in second. Nathan Waddell's moved to position number 3 after setting fast time earlier, but this is the mess. If something does happen, it's probably going to happen outside the top 10 as these drivers continue to find a way around this racetrack. Willis to the upside. That is your battle for position number 5. Blake Majulis trying to get back here, and Lane right in behind Trevin Lane in the 27. Side by side. Top 3 have it figured out. Ashton, everybody else is fighting for something.
They do, and if there's one person on this racetrack who is very happy, it is Logan Rumsey. He likes the way his car is reacting to this track right now, has a 4/10 lead on second of Kendall Tucker. The battle behind them for the 4th position right now, heating up between Willis Brown and Majulis. Majulis has made his way back up, trying to find something on the bottom side, and is going to hang to the inside of that 14 car.
Majulis up the hill right in front of J.D. Brown, and Brown trying to hold on to that spot. You ride on board with Blake Majulis. We see another VR headset there as he wheels that thing from position number 5 and now has to set his sights on the 10 in front. Talon Willis is coming through this field after qualifying through a heat race. He's got some speed in that thing.
Blake Majulis, you see there as we're seeing his sim setup, how smooth he is driving this race car around Volusia Speedway Park, and it is working for him as he is up to 5th. Rumsey, Tucker, Waddle, Willis, and Majulis, your current top 5.
And in behind, you see J.D. Brown trying to hold on to his spot. The 27 of Lane works to the bottom side, and Tomasi trying to pick up one more spot in that pink and white 09 just behind Chase Barbara in the 23. Haven't spoken a whole lot about Chase this evening, but he's trying to work his way through the field.
Race for 6th is on between 4 different cars. J.D. Brown, Tanner Tomasi, Trevin Lane, and Chase Barbara. As Trevin Lane makes a big pass and up to 7th. J.D. Brown still leading that pack, and the 27 and 09 are door to door. 27 up in the fluff a little bit, and he's going to fall back from the rest of that pack.
We saw J.D. Brown in the opening laps battling for the lead, and now he's trying to hold on to what would be a top 10 run as you ride on board with the 23 at Chase Barbara, a driver that's been involved in these Pro Series before. His little contact ahead of him, going to send one to the outside. That is Lane in the 27. Is going to go all the way to the back of the field after that contact with Tomasi right ahead of the driver we ride on board with of Chase Barbara. And then Barbara looking back, there's a lot of traffic back there.
There is a lot of these drivers trying to break into the top 10 right now. They want to start off their season on a good note, and one of them being Chase Barbara, who rides in the 8th position right now with Augustine right on his back bumper. What a day Augustine has had, and he's up to 9th now. His battles are all over this racetrack, but Logan Rumsey, out of all of them, 6/10 ahead of the rest of the field.
And the battle for 3rd is Talon Willis down to the bottom side. Heat race number 1 winner from earlier this evening. That is the nuance that we see with this series, Ashton. Top 8 qualified directly in. So if you didn't have a good qualifying effort, you have to race your way in and race your way to the front, as we're seeing with the 10 to the bottom side of Nathan Waddell. Waddell was our quick qualifier, and Blake Majulis is just playing quick everywhere that we go as the 127 tries to pick up a couple of spots. This is the battle for the final podium position into 3.
24 laps remain in this 50-lap feature. 5 throws the slider, makes it stick, and Majulis is going to ride right behind him and use that momentum to shoot ahead of both the 10 car of Willis and the 5 of Waddle. Back 3 cars in this battle right now. Wow, Tim, crazy action happening on track.
Majulis to the outside, going to try to put it right up towards that cushion and try to pick up one more spot. He'll move ahead of the 5 of Waddell and the 10 of Willis. As you see the double box and you see these drivers go to work, you can see Nathan Waddell's kind of a little bit laid back a little bit. Can't really see the wheel, but we know we saw it on it. And Blake Majulis, we've seen this song and dance before where it's kind of smooth. And we talked about him being smooth and calm, good vibes behind Nathan Waddell.
These drivers fighting hard to make their way into the podium as this battle continues. But honestly, Tim, Majulis pulling ahead of the 5 of Waddell and the 10 of Willis. He has now caught the back bumper of the 00 of Tucker.
Kendall Tucker now going to have to play a little bit of defense as you're right on board with Blake Majulis trying to get the 00 in his rear view mirror. Majulis has been moving, and I don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse, Ashton, but we haven't seen a caution yet in this one. 19 laps to go in the second half, and Majulis, we got one bouncing off the wall in the middle of the pack.
Crazy action happening, and that was Coy Blythe who was involved in that, but it looks like green flag still out on the racetrack. Rumsey, Tucker, Majulis, your top 3.
We haven't seen any accidents. We've seen a couple of these drivers bounce it off the wall and keep going, but we haven't seen anything that would trigger a caution flag as of yet. And obviously these drivers are pro drivers. They are the best in the business when it comes to the Volusia Speedway Park this week in the late models. So doing a great job as Tomasi looks to the bottom side of the 11 of Johnson for a top 10 position. Chase Barbara up against the guardrail in turn number 2. 3 wide and almost 4 as they work through corners number 3 and 4. As Logan Rumsey continues to lead. Battle for second heats up. Rumsey's led since the drop of the green flag, but he might have some company here in the next few laps.
Whole second advantage for Logan Rumsey right now as they are still battling. We see some drivers getting up in the fluff up there. It looks like Tomasi starting to fall back just a little bit. And wow, that 23 car of Barbara is on a rip right now on the top side.
We are chasing around Chase Barbara, and the 23 is trying to pick up a couple of more spots to get back up into the top 5. Mike Augustine just ahead of him. Augustine had to qualify through a last chance showdown on a last lap pass, and now within the top 10. But now we're looking at that point of running out of time, Ashton. We've got 13 laps to go in this one. Logan Rumsey continues to lead. Talon Willis's battle in behind the top 3 has got a little bit closer, as is this one here on your screen. A couple of drivers navigating towards that very bottom side in 1 and 2.
Like you said, Tim, 12 laps remain in this 50-lap feature. This is when you get up on the hammer and you start making those bold moves. And I expect we see some of them soon as battles are still happening all over this racing surface. You see the 23 on the outside as they go 3 wide there. And here's Majulis again with Willis right on his back bumper. And they see Tanner Tucker. So the battle for the podium still happening.
Kendall Tucker in second, had Blake Majulis on the back bumper for about 5 laps, Ashton, and then Blake kind of fell back a little bit. We saw him speed towards the front of the field. Did he use up everything that he has in that Majulis Speed Shop 127? He's got Talon Willis on the back bumper and now to the bottom side as Willis throws that 10 to the bottom and trying to pick up the final podium position. Majulis going to get back to the bottom side. Nathan Waddell looks on from position number 5. And as they were catching Logan Rumsey, Logan Rumsey's pulled away by 1.2 seconds.
Looked like a little bit of contact there between Majulis and Willis as Willis riding around the bottom. Majulis opting for the top side, but Waddell is getting in on this mix as well. And now it throws it into the corner there. And Majulis way down on the bottom, but making it work, gets a good run out of the corner and pulls ahead of Willis.
Going to have his hands full in these last couple laps, so as Willis wants that final podium position, works to the bottom side to try to pick up that spot. You see Kendall Tucker ahead, and way in the distance is Logan Rumsey in that black number 41. Rumsey has this thing in hand as they come by this time to 5 to go.
Rumsey, Tucker, Majulis, Willis, and Waddell, your top 5 as we ride on board with the 3rd place. There's the battle for 3rd as we just saw Talon Willis on our screen as now Majulis is making that pass on the inside, makes it work, drifts off to the high side just a little bit, is able to keep hold of that 3rd position, and the 10 goes back to the inside.
And quick-time driver Nathan Waddell sitting right there, hoping for something to happen in front of him in car number 5. And they've gapped J.D. Brown and the rest of the field. So your best battle within the top 5 is this one right here on your screen as the 127. Blake Majulis tries to take it from the top. Willis on the bottom. And Nathan Waddell trying to find a line and trying to find a way into this battle. The top 2 are gone as they come by this time to 2 to go.
Side by side is Majulis and Willis. There's only 2 laps remain, and here comes Waddell. Side by side out of the corner. Majulis on the outside, Willis on the inside. What is going to happen? Laps are running down, Tim.
They will come to the white flag this time. A final lap at Volusia in round number 1. The battle is for 3rd. Majulis trying to get there, but up in front, it's been all Logan Rumsey in a caution-free affair at Volusia. Round number 1 of the World of Outlaws Pro Series, powered by iRacing, goes to Logan Rumsey. It's his 3rd Pro Series late model victory of his career, and 4th when you include the sprint car victory that he had a couple of seasons ago. Rumsey starts off the season strong. Kendall Tucker in 2nd and Blake Majulis in 3rd. I think when you look at the stat sheet from earlier when we saw the field, you look at those 3, you kind of circle them as maybe championship contenders, Ashton. They're good in both disciplines, and Logan Rumsey absolutely schooled the field here this evening.
Big congratulations to Logan Rumsey. We saw the big smile on his face after picking up that victory in the green to checkered feature, and he built quite a lead on the rest of the field. And we'll talk to Logan, Kendall Tucker, and Blake Majulis in just a little bit. But here's the results. Top 5 being Logan Rumsey, Kendall Tucker, Blake Majulis, Talon Willis, and Nathan Waddell.
J.D. Brown comes home in position number 6. Ethan Johnson in 7th. Tanner Tomasi in position number 8. Dylan Yeager in 9th. And Tyler Orr completes your top 10 in car number 3. Chase Barbara falls to 11th. Mike Augustine from the trunk all the way up to 12th. Caleb Durgan 13th. Stephen Gaines, Joey Lindgren 15th. Jesse Enterkin in 16th. Dustin Price in 17th. Robbie Buchanan Jr. in 18th. Coy Blyes and Trevin Lane both having issues early in the race. And Brady Thompson only saw 8 laps of this one. He will finish in 21st. So a great way to kick off. Caution-free Ashton. These drivers put on one whale of a show, and a clean show at that.
It 120% was, Tim. We're just kicking off this season, and that is a great way to start off your year, especially for Logan Rumsey. And we'll catch up with him now. Logan, big smile on your face right after you won that feature. Green to checkered. Just how good was that race car?
Yeah, I didn't expect everyone to go down to the bottom like that on the start. Me and J.D. Brown just kind of ran the top around them all and got to the lead really early there. And just and at that point, I was just trying to save my tires a little bit. I know Kendall Tucker and Majulis were on a little bit different setup, so their tires would come in a little bit later in the race. So I was just trying to save my stuff a little bit so I could compete with them at the end. But it seemed like it didn't really matter. It was really good the whole race, and we kind of checked out there at the end.
Yeah, building over a 2.5 lead. This is just race number 1 of the series. Moving forward, you have 9 more weeks. How much of a confidence booster is this, knowing going into Weed Sport and the rest of the season?
Yeah, it's you can't start much better. So we feel really good for the sprint cars next week too. So we should be good.
Logan Rumsey picks up the win after such a dominating performance, Tim.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations to Logan Rumsey, a 3rd win on the late model scene. And I believe you've caught up with our 2nd place finisher, Kendall Tucker.
Kendall Tucker, a bad, fast race car out there. And 2nd place is nothing to hang your hat on. But what more did you need for that win?
Yeah, just probably should have went the opposite way that we did for setup. It's just so hard to guess it with this tire wear anymore these days. If you try to push it early with a little more air, you just feel like you're going to fade, at the end of the race there. And fortunately, the package we had on just really didn't stand a chance there at the beginning, and it didn't seem to even out there at the end. Logan still was able to keep gapping us. So, I don't know, there's a lot of shoulda, woulda, couldas, but definitely got lucky hitting the invert tonight, starting on the pole, and, to bring it home 2nd, all things considered, we'll take it.
Kendall Tucker with a strong 2nd place showing to kick off the season at Volusia Speedway Park. The late models, we have one more driver to talk to. and it was not easy for him, that's for sure. Blake Majulis, what a battle you had. You could not sit comfortable the whole entire time. What do you think gave you that edge over Willis and Waddle?
Yeah, I think we had really good speed. Had to use my stuff up pretty early, and I had to suffer the last 10 laps. I was all over the place, but when you start back that far, you got to go for what you can get. And with no yellows, I'm glad I did, because just you got to get what you can get with this track position. And these races are all about qualifying, and if you don't qualify good, you don't win races. And that's what happened tonight. So hopefully next week just qualify better and not have that happen again.
Blake Majulis rounds out the podium here tonight. Logan Rumsey picking up the win. Kendall Tucker in second and Blake Majulis in third. Tim, wow, what a great way to kick off the 2024-2025 season. We saw an absolutely amazing race at Volusia.
That was fun. You look at your point standings right now. This includes your qualifying, your heat races, your features, everything else. And Logan Rumsey has a 10-point advantage on Kendall Tucker, Nathan Waddell, Blake Majulis, and Talon Willis, your top 5 in the standings. But we are very early in this season. 10 races, 2 different race cars, 2 different disciplines. We are going to see some drivers move, and I have a feeling we're going to see some of those names that we usually see on the sprint car side of things shine next week as we are heading to Weed Sport. We'll see some drivers that may have missed the mark in round number 1 rebound a little bit. We'll see some of these drivers that maybe come out of their comfort zone a little bit, Ashton, because some of these late model guys, not necessarily the best when it comes to sprint cars.
Yeah, it'll be a different group. And like you said, they have to get through those qualifying races, which kick off tomorrow night. No off nights for these guys. Starts tomorrow and goes until Thursday. And those will be at 8 p.m. Eastern time, all leading up to the big show on November 18th at 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Get your A-Class license if you have one. Get in the sprint car. Get some racing in and join us next week. Over 400 tried to qualify for this one. We weeded it down to 35, and then we took the best 21 through qualifying. And at the end, it was Logan Rumsey picking up his 3rd late model victory in the World of Outlaws Pro Series, powered by iRacing. That's going to do it for us here this evening. On behalf of our entire iRacing crew, Ashton Smythe, my name is Tim Terry. We will see you next week when we say let's go racing. Until then, keep the hammer down, and we'll see you at the track.